medlemslande så lærer hinanden, tror du?
Jeg tror først og fremmest, de forskellige medlemslande kan lære én ting. At det at hjælpe psykisk sårbare til at få et godt liv, som de fleste kan få, det er ikke noget, man klarer med en diagnose alene. Det er ikke noget, man klarer med en medicinsk behandling. Der skal en meget bredere indsats til. Det tror jeg er det første og det vigtigste. Det andet, jeg tror, vi kan lære mange steder, som går igen og igen, det er den måde, du ser på en psykisk sårbar på. At du lærer at forholde dig til mennesket, og du lærer at forstå, at det menneske, det er det, du skal tale til, det er det, du skal hjælpe. Det er ikke den overfrakke, man har på, af en forskellige former for psykisk sårbarhed. De to ting, tror jeg, er ret afgørende.
Some people say that you can't reduce the stigma unless you change the way that the systems work. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree completely that one of the main sources of stigma are large psychiatric institutions where patients are put and then no one understands what's really going on. And I always say, if you have been as a patient in a psychiatric institution and you come back to the community, you don't need, and they know it, you don't need any enemies anymore because it's enough that you are labeled as having been in a psychiatric institution.
Hvis jeg skal udtale mig personligt og ikke som lab-menneske, så siger jeg, at du bestemmer selv, om du vil føle dig diskrimineret eller stigmatiseret. At jeg så kan se, at der er nogle kræfter og nogle tendenser og nogle strømninger i samfundet, der gør, at vi er nødt til desværre ikke kan få det der bank ind i hovedet på folk, så vi er nødt til at foretage os nogle ting, der gør, at vi modarbejder det på andre planer. Men egentlig vil jeg helst have, at det var en personlig udvikling hos hver enkelt. At de fandt ud af, at de vælger selv, om de vil føle sig sådan. Det kunne godt være min store drøm, om jeg kunne så det frø i tilpas mange mennesker, som så derefter gik rundt og såede det i en hel masse mennesker, og på den måde fik en eller anden form for kædereaktion til at ske.
I think most of us agree that the biggest single area of discrimination or inequality that people with a psychiatric diagnosis face is that they die younger. They live less well and they live for a shorter period of time. But what we don't talk about in terms of addressing that is that a lot of that premature death is associated with the treatments people are given as a result of the diagnosis of mental ill health. So
jeg tror, det er vigtigt at sige, at ja, stigmatisering kan være udtryk for en reel diskrimination, som er farlig og udstødende i sig selv, og som man er nødt til at gå til, både i forhold til holdninger, men også i forhold til lovgivning og andre rammer. Og så handler det også om inklusion, nemlig som det positive om, vi ønsker, at vi alle sammen skal være en del af et fællesskab. Det skal vi også give lovgivningsmæssige rammer for. Det skal vi også arbejde med holdningsmæssigt.
Okay, so one thing is being ill, but the results of the mental illness are even worse. The results of being put away.
Yes. The results, the consequences is that patients with a normal disease, so to say, with a physical disease, diabetes, they have the problem of the diabetes, of course, but then they are pitied by others. But in mental illness, patients have a second burden. They have to always watch out for stigmatization and discrimination, and they try to be secret about it because they know that society will not react positively to them. So it's an additional burden. Not only you have the disease symptoms and you suffer already from this, if you are depressed, for example, but you also have this additional burden of perhaps hiding it or explaining to other people or withdrawing, and this is a stress, and this may even further your illness.
So human rights can change that, enforcing that? Or
I mean, checking for human rights, and of course in accordance with this, organized community mental health services, so patients or persons with mental disorders can be included in society much more if community services are there.
Folk skal ikke blive inkluderet, fordi det er synd for dem på den måde.
Nej, ikke fordi det er synd for dem, men fordi at det, at man har ret til at være i et samfund, og man har nogle muligheder for at udfolde sig og bibringe med de kompetencer, man har, det er rigtig vigtigt. Men man kan nemt, når man kommer til at snakke om stigma, få den her fastlåste fornemmelse af, at der er nogen, der gør noget mod nogle andre, som er meget ubehagelige. Og hvis man låser det for meget, så forstår man ikke helt de psykologiske mekanismer, der kan ligge i det. Fordi uforstand har jo bragt til mig en diskussion, og man kan sige, at uvidenhed kan også betyde, at der er rigtig mange, der er tilbageholdende for at have en mere inkluderende holdning i forhold til det, de gør. Det ved vi jo også, når vi ser på det kulturelle område. Så jeg siger bare, ja, to ting. Stigma kalder på bedre inklusion og holdning til det, og det kalder på opmærksomhed, hvor der taler om en diskrimination, som man skal imødegå.
Most psychiatric drugs, and particularly the antipsychotics, will lead to an increased risk of liver failure, heart failure. They will have an impact on blood systems.
Diabetes also.
Diabetes. In fact, you name an organ of the body, and it's likely to be adversely affected by some of the treatments that people are given for mental ill health. So we do not adequately address the physical health consequences, not of mental ill health, but actually the physical health consequences of the treatments for mental ill health. If we, one of the most important things we could do in terms of understanding, why mad people, for want of a better phrase, why they have a lower quality of life and a lower life expectancy, is the way they are treated by mental health professionals, in particular in terms of the toxic chemicals that they take, often against their will, and certainly not in an environment of genuine informed choice. And so what we would like to see is genuine constructive debates about the medication. What are the pros and cons? Some people find great benefit from it. Some people find no benefit from it at all. But generally people are not given the opportunity to make their own decisions about whether they do or don't take medication. There is a lack of understanding when people stop medication. There is a lack of understanding about the difference between what is often thought of as a relapse of symptoms and what is in effect a physiological withdrawal effect of course, these are mind-altering drugs. They're given to people to change your brain chemistry. So they are mind-altering drugs. And when you stop taking mind-altering drugs, it has an impact on your body. It has an impact on your mind. It can be destabilizing. That is not always a relapse of symptoms. Sometimes that is just a natural physiological effect of stopping taking drugs. You can see the effects, those sort of effects, on people who give up smoking. You can see those effects on people who stop drinking. Yeah. Stopping psychiatric drugs is no different. But we are very bad at allowing people to do that in a constructive way. We're very bad at doing that in a way that...
So should that be a right? People have to try to quit medicine, you think?
Absolutely, but to do it in a positive way, and constructive way, or even just to be more in control of the medication. And I think some people, if you take people who hear and see things, classic symptom of schizophrenia, the research evidence says that with the best quality antipsychotics, about a third of people will stop hearing and seeing things. So 2/3 won't.
So perhaps people should just learn to live with it.
Well, I mean, there is, for some people, that is the only thing you will be able to do. You have to accept that you hear and see things, that there isn't a simple biochemical response to that, and therefore a more constructive response is how do I live a meaningful life in the context of hearing and seeing things, and that's. For many people, that's a much more constructive approach than trying to just simply remove the voices biochemically, remove your hearing and seeing things. Now, for some people, if medication stops them hearing and seeing things, then that's fantastic. Then what they have to do is balance any other negative effects of that medication with that benefit. But for people like me who got no therapeutic benefit from the psychiatric intervention, it was very simple. I'm gaining nothing from this treatment, therefore I lose nothing by stopping this treatment. I still hear and see things. I still have to manage that. As it happens, I can manage it more effectively when I'm not drugged up to the eyeballs. And giving people the opportunity to articulate that is very important. And I think good psychiatrists and good clinicians understand that, but they are still both in the minority and often pressurized into defensive practice. So, a marker of how good they are as a clinician is what the compliance rate with their treatment is. And I don't think compliance is a particularly good indicator of mental health. It may be an indicator of being a compliant patient, but it's actually not an indicator of being well. And we need to move towards more effective indicators of being well. And there are lots of indicators that are good indicators of being well, but compliance with treatment isn't necessarily one of them.
Det jeg er lidt bange for, det er faktisk, at vi i forbindelse med diskrimination, eller måske i højere grad i forbindelse med stigmatisering, kommer til at ende i en problematik, der minder om politisk korrekthed i sproget, som jo faktisk er sprogødelæggende og dermed kommunikationsødelæggende. Hvad mener du med det? Jeg mener dermed, jeg vil tage et ord, som vi alle sammen har og kender i dansk. Ordet skør.
Tosset.
Nej, skør. Og det er ordet skør. Du kan have en vase, der er lavet af et materiale, der er skørt.
Skrøbelig.
Går lidt i stykker, ikke? Du kan have et handlingsmønster, hvor du kærligt siger til din partner, søde, det er sgu da den skøreste måde, jeg nogensinde har set nogen gøre det der på. Der er ikke noget diskriminerende der, der er heller ikke noget stigmatiserende der. Der er noget kærligt drillagtigt. Så hvis vi begynder at gøre visse ord til stigmatiserende, så smadrer vi måske faktisk vores egen mulighed for at kommunikere. Fordi modsat det der, så er arbejdsgiverens nedsættende tonefald, det der, sig mig, er du skør, mand? Hvad er det, du laver? Den kan være stigmatiserende. Det er det samme ord, men jeg har fornemmelsen af, at det i meget høj grad drejer sig om intonationen, måden det bliver sagt, konteksten det bliver sagt i, om det er diskriminerende eller ej. Ikke ordet i sig selv. Det er den måde, vi vælger at opleve ordet på, der giver dets værdi. Det er ikke ordet selv. Ordet er nemlig værdiløst. Eller værdineutralt. Jeg har i mange år haft noget, jeg kalder tretrinsraketten, som jeg har, når jeg har prøvet at rådgive andre mennesker, har givet den. Den bemærkning, du modtager fra et andet menneske, den kan du angribe, den kan du se på 3 måder. Du kan høre den på 3 måder. Du kan høre den som positiv. Vi starter omvendt. Du kan høre den som negativ og føle dig såret. Du kan høre den som positiv og føle dig glad, eventuelt grine lidt, fordi den er humoristisk. Eller du kan vælge at være neutral over for den. Når du gør det sidste, så ryger den, hvis den er tænkt negativ, så ryger negativiteten tilbage til den, der har sendt dig bemærkningen. Fordi selve ordet har ingen ladning med sig. Det er din oplevelse af ordet, der vælger den ladning, det skal have. Det er et valg, du hele tiden selv kan foretage dig.
Well, for discrimination, we're used to models of discrimination, for example, with race, with gender, that, you can tell what colour someone is, you can tell what race someone is, you can tell what gender they are just by looking at them, often by talking to them. And so it is relatively easy, if you like, to discriminate against people on the basis of gender or colour. We know that people are discriminated against if they have used services, but you have to think, well, what is it? If you can't physically see the difference between a mad person and a sane person, how is it that they experience discrimination? And the simple answer is it's that diagnosis, it's that application of a label. And if you look at the administration, if you think about the United Kingdom, the administration of our lives, our financial services, our applying for jobs, our applying for education, our driving a car, our travel, and so on and so forth. A lot of the administration of that asks you if you've had a psychiatric diagnosis, asks you if you've used mental health services. And because it is seen as a perfectly legitimate question, that enables the providers of those services to discriminate. And that discrimination is not only legal, but it's institutional and expected.
So the people should stay in the closet. That was I said, if necessary.
You can entirely understand why people do. If by talking about your diagnosis and your experience, you are giving yourself higher insurance premiums, less chance of getting a job, less chance of getting a degree,
or a wife,
or a husband. Why would you talk about that? But on the other hand, if we are to challenge the discrimination associated, we need to have more and more people who have, ordinary lives, who feel comfortable about talking about their diagnosis. In the UK, there was an enormous step forward, for example, when the president of our Royal College of Psychiatrists, as he was then, talked about his own depression. And that was the first time you'd seen a leading psychiatrist who was, elected by his peers to represent psychiatrists, talking about his own experience of mental ill health. That made a big difference. Now, actually, mental illness is quite high in psychiatrists, but they don't talk about it because they, more than anyone, know what the consequences of talking about it are. In England, we used to have specific guidance that forbade people with particular diagnoses from taking part in certain civic activities. So you couldn't be a school governor, you couldn't be a magistrate, you couldn't be a nurse. All of those things were denied to you if you had a psychiatric diagnosis. So it is an important distinction between the mad and the sane, and it's not one we have any choice of. Any more than you have choice of what gender or what colour you are. The essence of discrimination is being treated differently on the basis of something about which you have no choice. Actually, you can choose whether you be a psychiatrist or not. You can choose whether you want to be a nurse or not. You can choose whether you want to be an estate agent or a politician.
You can also choose whether you will do some good to other people for being ill.
Absolutely. But you have absolutely no choice of your diagnosis. And the way you're treated as a result of that is simply pinned on you by other people.
Fordi jeg tror faktisk, det har meget at gøre med, hvordan du selv ser tingene. Hvilken vinkel bruger du på at se det?
Med mindre, at du ikke får det job, og du ikke får den lejlighed, og du ikke får den uddannelse.
Vi kan gå
den kæreste.
Vi kan gå en anden vej. Vi kan tage 2 movements. Vi kan tage de homoseksuelle, og vi kan tage negerne. De homoseksuelle, de tog skældsordene og gjorde dem til deres betegnelse. Derved fjernede de det diskriminerende og stigmatiserende i måden at bruge ordene på, ikke? Negerne tog dem til sig som negative og forlangte at komme til at hedde sorte i stedet for, og har senere hen skabt påbud om, at ordet neger ikke må optræde for eksempel i verdenslitteraturen, i litteraturen, der er skrevet 200 år før, at de laver det movement.
Eller Tintin i Kongo.
Eller at børnesange skal skrives om. En børnesang, der er forbudt i Danmark i dag, er for eksempel Lille Sorte Sambo. Eller vi tager Elefantens Vuggevise, hvor der findes linjen: i morgen skal du få en negerdreng, og ham skal du bruge til at rangle. Den linje er ændret til: i morgen skal du få en kokosnød, og den skal du bruge som rangle. Problemet er bare, at en kokosnød kan ikke rasle. Så altså, der er det igen. Bøsserne, de tog valget. De valgte at bruge de diskriminerende ord som deres betegnelser. Og derved fjernede de oplevelsen af at være stigmatiseret.
Jeg hedder Sten Andersen, og jeg kommer fra Landsforeningen mod spiseforstyrrelser og selvskade. Og til Kirsten vil jeg gerne spørge, om du synes, at handicapbegrebet er særlig godt, når det handler om psykisk syge. Der er ingen tvivl om, at de intentioner, du nævnte, der står der, de er rigtig gode, også for psykisk syge. Men der er ikke mange af vores medlemmer, så lider af spiseforstyrrelser eller selvskade, som opfatter sig selv som handicappede. Så kan der ikke være noget med ordet, der gør, at det kan være svært at udbrede de her konventioner?
Altså spørgsmålet det er, skal de psykisk syge være omfattet af handicapkonventioner? Det er godt. Det kan man selvfølgelig diskutere. Nu er de altså blevet omfattet, ikke? Og så må man jo sige, at vi er for fine til at være med i den, ikke? Eller jeg forstår ikke helt, hvad problemet er. Jeg mener, at de psykisk syge tidligere har befundet sig i sådan et tomrum, hvor de hverken var det ene eller det andet eller det tredje. Og derfor mener jeg sådan set, ikke fordi jeg vil være uvenlig, men jeg fornemmer, at der er sådan en grad af stereotypisering over for andre handicappede ved at sige, jamen vi synes ikke, vi er ligesom dem. Altså, det vi snakker om her, det er, hvordan vi kan stille alle lige. Og der er altså nogen, der har behov for hjælp, kompenserende ordninger og særlige osv. osv. Så jeg synes, at hvis man synes, det er uheldigt, så må man selvfølgelig være med at nævne den. Ikke? Men jeg synes, man skal tage de rettigheder, man kan få. Det er min opfattelse. Og så arbejde med dem.
I Danmark, der har psykisk syge hørt til udsatte gruppen. Har vi også været det i alle de andre europæiske lande, eller hvor har vi været hen sådan rent lovgivningsmæssigt? Ved du det?
Det ved jeg ikke nok om, men jeg tror, det er meget vigtigt at sige, at i samfund, hvor man har et meget dårligt socialt sikkerhedsnet, der vil man ofte, hvis man bliver alvorligt psykisk syg, og hvis man ikke har en familie, som er i stand til at tage vare på en, så vil risikoen for en social derud, den vil være større. I Danmark var etableringen af Videnscenter for Socialpsykiatri som en selvstændig enhed, og ikke en enhed under Videns- og Formidlingscenter for udsatte, en klar markering af, at man ikke automatisk er traditionelt udsat, fordi man er psykisk syg. Og det tror jeg har haft rigtig stor betydning for mange psykisk syge, at man ikke har den der, man kun forbinder det med det, at man nødvendigvis også er hjemløs, og man er noget andet. Så har vi snakket om dobbeltdiagnostiseret, eller folk med mange problemer. Og de kan så blive udsat for rigtig mange fordomme i forhold til det her, fordi det kan være svært at finde ud af, hvad der er hønen og ægget. Men de sociale levevilkår har stor betydning, tror jeg, i de andre lande, for om du sådan opfatter det som i den ene eller den anden, om du må drive rundt på gaderne, eller du kan blive indlagt, eller du kan få noget social hjælp.
So my problem was that I had been totally excluded and very poor when I was raised, and I was very bullied at school. And then when I grew up, then I didn't have easily to connect to people because I had lived a very isolated life. How do you think that you could reduce stigma for people being mentally ill?
I think visibility is very important, so that the rest of the community can see that we're not so different. That it's nothing to be scared about, because I think where people are invisible and kept away from the rest of the world, myths develop about what people are like, and I don't think that's helpful. So I think visibility is very important.
But isn't that a bit dangerous if you're being discriminated then?
It is dangerous. It is dangerous.
And then I got totally mad, and then they put me into hospital. They called for an ambulance, so I didn't choose that. But sometimes it takes a long time for life to breaking down, but my life wasn't that great before anyway.
Having people like you standing up is very important, because most people maybe can't stand up and say, this is me, I have a mental health problem, or because the world will judge you on that basis and may not see the rest of you. I think things like the Time for Change programme in England is very important, because some very high-profile people, people that who are actors, who are singers, have stood up and said, I have depression, I have this problem, and it's talked about more. So I think the fact that these people who are very successful have been able to stand up and talk about things has helped to make it more normal. You can be depressed, you can have a mental health problem, and you're still human. You're not.
If you say 3 things that could make people more included in society, what would that be?
3 things to make people more included. Not to presume that people need special services, that actually it's better to use the services that are already out there with support. To invest in more personalised care, so that people can choose for themselves what they want. The third one. can't think of a third one.
Changing the world.
Oh yes, I think changing the world is always good. I know. I think it has to be hope. I think you always have to believe that things will get better. And you have to hold that hope for the people who can't hope at the moment. So I think hope has got to be the biggest one.
I think if you're going to reduce stigma, you really have to, first of all, listen to and then learn from the people who've had the experience of mental ill health, and then incorporate them into the planning of services. And I think also you need to look at the whole issue of discrimination legislation to make sure that it's adequate to cover discrimination against people on the grounds of stigma in mental health cases. More included. Yes, certainly they must be included in the decisions affecting them. Secondly, they must be included in decisions affecting services which they might be in need. But thirdly, they should be included in everything else. You know, in society, at work, in play, at school, and in the family, just like everybody else.
Det, der kan gøre en sur skidt tilpas, det er, hvis man bliver diskrimineret eller dårligt behandlet af andre mennesker. Er det nogensinde noget, du har oplevet, eller hvad skulle man gøre, hvis man havde oplevet det?
Altså, som jeg har sagt tidligere, det er til en vis grad et valg, du selv træffer, om du vil føle dig diskrimineret, om du vil føle dig stigmatiseret.
Men mindre du ikke får jobbet, og du ikke får lejligheden?
Ja, altså, jo, men altså, jeg har faktisk oplevet at blive kasseret til et job. Og så har jeg faktisk, som jeg egentlig gerne ville have, og så har jeg kunnet stoppe op, selvfølgelig lige umiddelbart i øjeblikket, og bliver man sur og trist og vred og ked af det. Men så et par timer senere, eller måske dagen efter, så har jeg altid prøvet at gøre det, jeg har sat mig ned og sagt, uden for mig selv, kigge på mig selv og kigge på tingene og sige, var det her en oplysning om, at du er ved at gå en forkert vej i dit liv? Var det her en oplysning til dig om, at du var ved at træffe et valg, som var uhensigtsmæssigt for dig? Fordi jeg arbejder nemlig aldrig med begrebet dårlige valg, eller forkerte valg, eller gode valg. Jeg arbejder med begrebet hensigtsmæssige eller uhensigtsmæssige valg. Og der har det så været, at diskriminering og stigmatisering kom ikke op egentlig som tema, fordi det var måske noget helt andet, du skulle lave. Det var ikke sikkert, at du skulle danse den forestilling der. Det kunne godt være, at du hellere skulle koncentrere dig om at få skrevet den artikel. At det var det, der var vigtigere for dig. Så kan det da godt være, at du måske havde lidt mindre penge nede på torvet, når du skulle købe grøntsager. Men så måtte du jo købe de lidt billigere, eller også måtte du gå over til dine gode veninder, sådan lige før lukketid, og få dem, hun alligevel ville smide ud, fordi hun ikke kunne sælge dem dagen efter til no money. Altså, der findes en løsning på alt, men føler sig diskrimineret. Jeg er lige ved at sige det, for at bruge et sjovt bon mot, som et tøjfirma skabte, hvor de sagde, la vie est trop courte pour se habiller triste.
Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire?
Så laver jeg den om til, livet er sgu for kort til at lade sig diskriminere.